I-7, the tank that scared everyone part I, born after the war, built for the next one, prologue, after victory. Before fear, the guns of World War II fell silent, but the world did not relax. Cities lay in ruins. Borders were redrawn in blood. And beneath the celebration of victory, something darker began to grow. A question no one dared to ask publicly. What comes next? The Soviet Union had won the greatest land war in history. But victory came at a terrible cost. Millions were dead. Entire armies were destroyed and rebuilt from nothing. And one truth was now undeniable. The next war would be even more brutal, and it would be decided by machines. One, the Soviet tank. Trauma the Red Army had learned its lessons the hard way. In 1941. Soviet tanks were caught unprepared, technically, tactically, doctrinally. Crews died inside steel boxes that were outdated before the war even began. Armor failed. Guns lacked penetration. Radios were rare. Training was rushed. By 1945. That had changed. The Soviets now understood tanks better than anyone on Earth. They knew what survived, what failed, what scared the enemy, and what scared them. The IS-2 had smashed through Berlin. The T-34 had become legend. But both had limits, and Soviet engineers were obsessed with limits. 2. The dangerous question inside design bureaus. Far from parades and medals, a dangerous question emerged. What if we remove the limits? Not a better IS-2, not a refined heavy tank. Something else, something that could ignore enemy fire, destroy anything it encountered, move fast enough to choose its battles, a tank that would not react to war, but define it. This question birthed Object 260, later known as I-7.3, a tank for a war. That didn't exist yet. The IS-7 was not meant to fight tigers or panthers. Those were ghosts. It was meant to fight future NATO armor, high-velocity anti-tank guns, chemical and nuclear-era battlefields. Its designers assumed the enemy would be smarter, guns would be stronger. Air power would dominate, so they designed a tank that refused to obey old rules. 4. The shape that changed everything previous. Heavy tanks relied on thickness. 7 relied on geometry. Its armor was not flat, not vertical, not forgiving. Every surface was angled aggressively, deflecting shells rather than absorbing them. During tests, armor-piercing rounds, shattered impacts ricocheted upward. Penetration attempts failed repeatedly. Even engineers were shocked. This wasn't just strong armor. It was weaponized physics. 5 armor that made designers nervous. The frontal armor exceeded 150 millimeters. But that number lied. Because slope multiplied effectiveness. In practice, IS-7's frontal protection rivaled and sometimes exceeded tanks far heavier than it. German super heavy concepts relied on brute mass. Is -7 achieved near invulnerability without becoming immobile. That scared people. 6 the gun that ended arguments. Then there was the gun, a 130 mm S-70 naval cannon, adapted for land combat. This was not subtle. Its shell could destroy any known tank, punch through bunkers, cripple vehicles with blast-alone. Test targets were annihilated. Observers described impacts as violent beyond expectation. This gun did not ask questions. It delivered conclusions. 7. Autoloader problem handling 130 shells manually was unrealistic. So engineers did something radical. They introduced an automatic loading system. For a gun of this size, that was revolutionary. Rate of fire increased. Crew fatigue dropped. Combat efficiency soared. Suddenly, a heavy tank could fire faster than many medium tanks. Another rule broken. 8. Speed that shouldn't exist. Heavy tanks were slow. His -7 wasn't powered by a massive diesel engine producing over 1,000 horsepower. The IS-7 could reach 60 kilometers per hour on roads. That was absurd. Nearly 70-ton tank moving faster than Shermans, Panthers, and T-34s. Speed was no longer a weakness, that it was a weapon. 9. The crew inside the beast inside. The IS-7 was designed for survival. Better ergonomics, improved optics, advanced communication systems. The crew was not meant to endure. They were meant to fight continuously. For the first time, a Soviet heavy tank treated its crew as assets, not expendable components. 10Y. No one could believe it when test reports circulated. Disbelief followed. The IS-7 could not be penetrated. Reliably could outrun enemies, could destroy anything. It sounded fictional. Some officers questioned whether such power was even necessary. Others feared it, because weapons like this change doctrine, and doctrine is expensive. 11. The shadow of the bomb. Then came the nuclear age. Atomic weapons changed everything. Why build an invincible tank when a single bomb could erase entire divisions? Suddenly, tanks were no longer kings. They were survivors. And IS-7, despite its brilliance, belonged to a moment that was already fading. 12. The silent end of a perfect machine. The 1-7 was not canceled publicly. It was quietly shelved. Too complex. Too expensive. Too advanced. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. The world wasn't ready for it. 13. What IS-7 really was. The IS-7 was not a tank. It was a message. A warning to the world. If we want to, we can build something you cannot stop. And sometimes, that's enough. IS-7, the tank that scared everyone. Part 2. The tank nothing could kill. 1. The moment of truth, when the IS-7 finally rolled onto the proving grounds. It carried more than steel and fuel. It carried doubt. Designers believed in it. Test crews respected it. But belief is cheap. Only fire proves truth. So the order was given. Shoot it. 2. The first shots. The test began with weapons that had destroyed tanks across Europe. High-velocity anti-tank guns. Armor-piercing shells. Distances carefully measured. Angles deliberately chosen to favor penetration. The first round hit the frontal armor. The sound was sharp, metallic, final. The shell shattered. Fragments scattered like rain. Armor remained untouched. Observers checked the impact point again and again. No penetration. No spalling. No cracks, only a scar. 3. Sloped armor. Physics as a weapon. The IS-7 did not rely on thickness alone, it relied on angle. Every plate was shaped to deflect shells upward, reduce effective penetration, disrupt armor-piercing caps rounds that would have penetrated other heavy tanks simply lost their purpose upon impact. Some shells ricocheted violently, traveling hundreds of meters away. The tank was not absorbing energy. It was rejecting it. Point 4. When bigger guns failed, engineers escalated. Heavier guns were brought in, larger calibers, higher velocities. The results barely changed. At combat ranges, penetration was unreliable, sometimes impossible. Reports began to use careful language. Frontal defeat unlikely, penetration not guaranteed, results unsatisfactory. Translated honestly, nothing could kill it from the front. 5. Side armor that refused to behave normally. Side armor is a weakness. His -7 ignored that rule. Its side plates were thick, sloped, reinforced around critical areas. Even flank shots required precise angles and ideal conditions. In chaos, the reality of battle, those conditions rarely exist. The IS-7 did not need perfect positioning. Its enemies did. 6 mines, blasts, and shock. Then came blast testing. Mines detonated beneath the hull, explosives placed near tracks. Shockwaves measured. The IS-7 survived. Tracks were damaged, yes. Suspension strained, yes, but the hull held. The crew compartment remained intact. The tank could still move. In a real war, that meant survival. 7. Firepower. As a shield, the IS-7 did not rely solely on defense. Its gun was a form of protection. The 130 mm S7 cannon could destroy enemy tanks at ranges where return fire was ineffective. This changed everything. The 1-7 did not need to expose itself. It could kill first and decisively. Every enemy tank destroyed was one less threat. Firepower reduced risk before armor ever mattered. 8. The psychological effect test. Crews began to speak differently, not with excitement. With caution. Driving the IS-7 felt unlike any other tank. Shells hit, and nothing happened. Hits that should have been fatal were meaningless. Crews reported an unfamiliar sensation. Invulnerability. That feeling is dangerous because it changes behavior. Commanders noticed this immediately. An invincible tank encouraged boldness. Boldness invites mistakes. Even perfection has consequences. 9. The engineers' fear, ironically. The tank's creators became uneasy. They had built something that could not be reliably destroyed, required extraordinary resources, would dominate any engagement, and domination creates dependency. What happens when armies rely on one weapon too much? History had already answered that question. Badly. 10. No tank exists alone. The IS-7 was nearly invulnerable, but it was not immortal. Engineers identified threats: aircraft, artillery, saturation, logistics disruption. Even the strongest armor fails without fuel, coordination, and support. The IS-7 could survive battle. It could not survive isolation. 11. The unspoken conclusion by the end of testing. No one questioned the E-7's power. That debate was over. The real question became, should something this powerful exist at all? Not because it was immoral, but because it was destabilizing. Weapons like this force enemies to respond, and escalation rarely ends. Well, 12. The tank that broke the scale. The 1-7 did not fit into existing categories. It was not just a heavy tank. It was not a breakthrough vehicle. It was a benchmark, a machine that defined the upper limit of conventional armored warfare. And once that limit was reached, there was nowhere else to go. IS-7, the tank that scared everyone. Part 3. Why perfection was rejected. 1. Victory can be a problem by the time testing ended. There was no doubt left. The IS-7 worked. It survived hits that should have destroyed it. It moved faster than tanks half its weight. It carried a gun that erased anything in its path. And that was the problem, because in military history, perfection is often more dangerous than failure. 2. The price of a single tank. The IS-7 was not expensive. It was extraordinary. Each vehicle required specialized steel complex, casting and welding, precision manufacturing, highly trained crews and mechanics. 1-7 cost as much as several medium tanks combined. Commanders asked a brutal question. Is one invincible tank better than 10 good ones? History answered that question repeatedly. The answer was no. 3. Complexity is the enemy of war. The IS-7 was a marvel of engineering, which made it fragile in a different way. Advanced suspension, autoloading systems, high-performance engine, complex transmission in peacetime. These were achievements. In war, they were liabilities. Every breakdown meant specialized tools, skilled technicians, time. Time is the one resource war never provides. 4. Logistics always wins. The IS-7 demanded a supply chain that barely existed. Massive fuel consumption, heavy transport requirements, reinforced bridges and roads moving. One IS-7 required planning, comparable to moving an entire unit. Wars are not won by what you can build. They are won by what you can move, supply, and replace. The IS-7 failed that test. 5. The battlefield was changing. The world did not wait for the IS-7. By the late 1940s, the rules of war were already shifting. Jet aircraft, guided munitions, anti-tank rockets, nuclear weapons. A tank designed to dominate conventional warfare was entering a world where conventional warfare was no longer guaranteed. Armor could not stop radiation. Speed could not outrun fallout. The IS-7 was built for a battlefield that was already funde, disappearing. 6. Doctrine could not keep up. A weapon is useless. Without doctrine. No one knew how to use the IS-7 properly. Too valuable to risk, too slow to redeploy strategically, too powerful to ignore it, did not fit into existing formations. To use it properly, the Army would have to change everything: training, tactics, logistics. And changing everything costs more than building anything. 7. The fear of escalation. There was another concern. An unspoken one. If the Soviet Union fielded IS-7 south, the world would respond: bigger guns, new ammunition, more powerful aircraft. The IS-7 would not end the arms race. It would ignite it. Sometimes restraint is a strategic weapon. 8. From heavy tanks to main battle tanks, the IS-7 exposed a truth. Heavy tanks had reached their natural limit. The future belonged to Versatile vehicles balanced protection. Mobility and firepower combined. This philosophy would become the main battle tank. Tanks that could do everything. Well, instead of one thing perfectly, the IS-7 was two. Specialized for the future. 9. Quiet decision. There was no dramatic cancellation. No. Announcement. The project was simply allowed to fade. Prototypes were stored. Documents archived. Engineers reassigned. Officially, nothing failed. Unofficially, everything had changed. 10. The irony of perfection. The 1-7 was rejected, not because it was weak, but because it was too strong in the wrong way. It represented the end of one era, not the beginning of another. It was the final, perfect expression of the heavy tank. And the final one was also the last.